Okay. So let's see, where was I? We were talking about what were we talking about? Um, Start from the beginning.
The grading policy?
Grading policy. Thank you. So the grading policy is, as you probably have sort of figured out, I don't grade particularly hard, but I am sort of demanding that you get the concepts through. So if you have like uh say you get a B or a C on this project, um you don't have to think to yourself, oh my god, I got a C, I'll never make an A in the class. Because if you're really like want to make an A in the class, well, I'll work with you to get the A for you, right? I mean, if you want to put in the work, I'm not really all that concerned about, the I do like to see really finished out, good quality projects, but that's not the most important thing to me. The most important thing is that you go through the process, you learn these things, you learn the fundamentals, and then you're able to apply them to projects. So um, the actual application, the execution, it's just part of it. And but what I'm really more worried about is you just get the bigger picture. Okay. Okay. So that's the grading. Oh, one important thing about the grading is that uh, the Canvas grading system is, I have it loosely set up to how I do the grading, but the truth is the I don't go by the Canvas grading system. It's a fairly arbitrary system in terms of points and like points awarded. Um, so what happens at the end of the semester is I look at the your projects and I record them on Canvas. Then at the end of the semester, I look at your project grade, and then I'll plus or minus based on your participation, right? So if you come to these meetings, if you engage in discussions, on the discussion board, um, actually, that's it. If you do those two things, you're participating, and your grade will probably go up a full letter grade. Now, it's a little subjective, right? I don't count your moments on discussion boards. That's a little weird. That's a little too clinical. What I'll do is I'll look and see if you made valid, interesting, smart criticisms. And if you did, in my mind, that's contributing, right? That's helping somebody out. So, therefore, that's extra credit. If you get on there and just sort of ramble and just say hi and stuff, that's not really contributing. That's just being on the discussion board. So, what really counts is that you know, you're. I hope you're starting to get me by now. But if you help somebody somewhere in any way, that's participating. Okay, so that's that. And the thing is like the grade is. I know it matters to you, and I'm conscious of that. But the grade's arbitrary to me, and it's weird to grade art anyway. But so and from my perspective, I might as well just give you a good grade, or at very minimum, you'll get like the grade you probably deserve, or one grade better, and that's usually how it works. So um, I will say that you can't lean, don't don't take advantage of my um, uh, my lenient personality. Like, if I think you're taking advantage of me being like an easy grader, then I immediately turn into like a mean person. So, and in terms of like, um, you know, um, just sort of effort, and I will always, I mean, I'm 100% on this. So I will always meet you halfway. So if you're putting in an extraordinary effort and you're doing everything, so will I. I'll meet you there, right? If you don't engage at all, I won't either. It's not worth my time. So that's how it works. You get what you put in, and if you think about it, that's how everything works, right? Right. Okay. So let's talk about project two a little bit. Um, Now we're in the actual range of um, definitely no Hello Kitty, right? Okay, because this project, it has to be figurative. So what does that mean? So the last project, it could not be figurative. This project, it must be figurative, right? And so, okay, Faith, yes,
So figurative is like a person, you know.
yes. Figure like a figure of a body, like a body is a figure, right? And um, Faith, I'm getting a little feedback. Can you mute? Thank you. So a car is a figure, right? Anything that there's sort of a body to. There's a bird, a windmill, a bridge. Um, More or less everything you can put a noun on is going to be figurative, right? So if you can't put a noun on and you end up putting like an adjective, like you look at it and you're like, it's bulbous, right? Bulbous, or it's spiky, right? That's probably like non-figurative, and it won't, you know, it's you have to describe it by adjectives. Okay, that's not what we want. We want a hand, a foot, a face, a body. Um, you get the picture, right? Everybody? Okay, excellent. Okay, so um, that's um, you know the what you start with is going to be you know kind of important going forward. So in other words, if you pick something that's um, just sort of boring to you, um, you're going to lose interest in it. So what I want you to do is to again think about this in a narrative way. What's something that's interesting to you, but it's still kind of like feasible, like sort of workable. So there are things that are more feasible and more workable than other things. For example, people try to do their cat all the time, and a cat is very hard to do because the contour lines are so hard to see. On a cat, it's too furry. So there's not really like a definition of like lines, right? Um, by contrast, a horse has lots of contour lines, right? The striations of the muscles are right out there for you to see. So in this project, it's going to be much easier to delineate a horse than a cat, just because on a cat, the lines are so hidden by all the fur. Okay, so if you think about what's going to be easy and what's going to be hard, just think about the lines that already exist, right? So for example, if you do something like, say you do a small shopping cart, right? Shopping cart's figurative, and check it out, all the lines are there for you anyway, right? You just look at a shopping cart and you just repeat the lines and then make little wheels on it. And that, you know, that would be ideal, because look at all the implied volume, right? Okay, so implied volume is the name of this project, right? It's a wire drawing to create implied volume. All right, this is where in other classes, including this semester, people are getting confused about um, the assignment itself. All right, so I'm going to have you do an assignment where you pick something that's figurative and you make it, and then that's going to be your project. But before that, you have to do an exercise. And that exercise, before you get started on your project, that exercise is to make 3 things. You have to make a sphere, you have to make a cube, and you have to make a pyramid. Those 3 things, right? And I'm not sure if how it's, I wrote it on Canvas. I'll check that later today. But the exercise is 3 things, and I'll have separate assignments for you. And the 3 objects will be graded either complete or not complete. And your project, of course, will be graded A through F. Okay. So about those 3 things, I have them here. Okay. Okay, can you see that? That's a sphere, right? A sphere is a ball, you know, basketball, any kind of ball, anything sort of round, right? But what's not a sphere is like a cylinder, like a can of soup. That's a cylinder. That's not a sphere, right? All right. I sounds simple, but there was some confusion in the other class. So you'll have to make a sphere. Cube. The cube's a little bit, but this is actually a really good cube, except for I bent it there. So a cube, let's see if you can see. Can you see that? All right. So a cube is actually what I would start with. Cube is a little easier than the others, right? So start with the cube, then the sphere, then a pyramid. Actually, maybe the pyramid's the easiest. They're both pretty easy. So these 3 things are going to be the exercise, and they don't have to be perfect. I just want you to practice with the material itself. Okay, so Okay, so I'm not sure if it's listed on your to-do things, but in project two, I would like you to um, watch the video on wire bending. Okay, I have to tell you that was maybe like one of my first videos, and and actually none of my videos are really good, but like um, the basic information is there. Just never mind the production quality. It's really bad. So try to watch that as soon as you can, right? Also, let's see what film do I have assigned for you guys? Oh, the Modern Masters of Design. Okay, this is it's a relatively new um, video for this class. In fact, this is the first semester I've decided to like show it to you for two reasons. One is it's just uh, it's a really good insight into how Asian culture was sort of viewed during the war, and what happened to all the designers at that time, right? So all these designers were sort of like either exiled or put into camps or like moved across the country, and the designs themselves and the artist um, Ruth Asawa. Ruth Asawa makes these wire forms that are exactly what I want you to make, right? These hers are non-figurative, but in terms of implied volume, this is what I want you to look about, think about the Ruth Asawa wire forms, and she makes them. I like them for a lot of reasons. They're perfect implied volumes, and um, I like that she doesn't. She was basically born, I don't know, like in East LA, and so people have this um, sort of prejudice, I guess, about Asian artists, but she's basically one of these Cranbrook people that got her idea. She just went to Mexico and she got all these ideas about building these baskets, and so I really really like the this nexus of like Asian artists and doing sort of work that's very local and also just beautiful. Like her work's amazing. So there's a couple of clips of her in that video, but it's a video really worth watching. And um, someone brought it up in the other class, like why am I just showing you all these videos of Asian artists? And I, the truth is, I didn't think about it. Not that I don't see color. Like, I hate when people say that. I just clearly went over my head. So um, I don't think it's an issue to anybody because the later ones are they're all different people. But I try to just make each video completely integrate with the project that you're doing. And so um, there was a Ruth Asawa video that was on Amazon, but you had to be an Amazon member to watch it. So I didn't want to do that. And Modern Masters is longer, but it's a lot richer, and I think it's like relevant to design. Okay, so I'm going to share a screen really quick and then show you some examples of wire sculptures that the class have done. Some of them are from the internet. let me share my screen. Okay. All right. So when you do sphere, um, that's really it. So this person, she just uncoiled the wire from the roll, and let me see. I don't know if you can still see me, but you see the wire about the size of it. She just basically undid one little loop, cut it off, and connected it at the ends. So she didn't bend the wire at all. It was already round that way. So she just used the natural curve of the wire to make her sphere. I think that was pretty smart. So she also, this is, this is perfectly acceptable. She probably finished this in like this part of it, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, something like that. Um, the reason is because she paid attention to how to connect the wire, right? And so that's where you have to start. You have to start with making a decent connection from the end of one wire to the middle of another wire, or end to end. So in the video that I made, I show you how to do that. It's very, very important that you get the first part right. In other words, you are just making a little twist at the end of the wire, and then you're connecting it. And the more minimal the connection, the better, right? What you don't want is a big wad around that makes a visual anomaly that's distracting to your work, right? You want to make the connections as simple as possible. So this is that's pretty simple. All right. This is another way to approach your sphere. You can just bend it in a circle, you know, in a and then sort of stretch it out into a sphere. Perfectly fine with me. This person, uh, you know, I don't remember who made this. Oh, it was a he. It was just Tim. So he made the cube, and then he used one surface of the cube to make his pyramid. Okay, that's good. And then he just hung his sphere. Now, in class, I make you connect them, but I'm never gonna touch these things. So if you want to make them separately, you can make them separately. Okay. All right. So this is it's a little hard to see because of how it was photographed, but this is a really kind of interesting project. It's it's the head of a steer, or like a bull, and um, you know there's the contour lines. There's a lot of contour lines, and you can see where they're placed, and it definitely um, spells out what it is. So in other words, this is a pretty good implied form, right? Because I can tell what it is. Now, in terms of implied volume, it's okay. I mean, it's pretty good. I can tell by this sort of three-wire construction that the horns have like a 3D, volumetric sense to them. If you add more wires, it'll become more implied in terms of a volume, and that starts to work a little better around the nose right here, and maybe around the eye socket. So this is an A project, maybe an A minus. Okay, so that's one. Okay, this is not a wire project, obviously, but my friend made this and I wanted to show it to you because it's a really, really, really good implied volume, right? You feel the volume of it, but it's empty, right? It's all made with these contour lines that address the outside of, the gun, right? And so um, there's a lot of outside surface, that sort of indicate where these contours are. So this is a very, very good implied volume. So, all right, you'll hear me repeat implied volume, just like you heard me repeat volume for the first project over and over and over, implied volume. Okay. All right. So what I want you all to do is to make a motorcycle like this. I'm just kidding. You don't have to make a motorcycle like this. But this is really nice, right? This is all wire. And uh, just look at the wheel, right? The wheel, um, is, if you think about this in terms of a 3D drawing, this is ideal, right? Even just the wheel of this you can feel the roundness, there is roundness and its actual size. So, and then the spokes, um, those are natural um, like contour lines if you're doing a wire drawing, right? Because they're already there for you. You just sort of copy them. And in context, it's easy to see what the rest of this is. It's a motorcycle wheel. So this is a really, really nice form. But it doesn't have to be that complicated. You can, oh, that's small. So that's a heart. That's figurative. That's a lot of implied volume. This is perfect. I would give that an A. Okay, so this is a student. Student did this. I like this for a lot of reasons. Let me show you the other one. First of all, it worked. Like, it has like this clip. So this student was, or Vitaly, he's a Russian guy. So when he talked about this, it really it was a little scary. He's like, yes, this is my Glock. Glock actually has 8 bullets. This only has 6 bullets. Anyway, so that was Vitaly. But what he made was like something very, okay, so these bullets, that's so dense that it's not even an implied volume, it's a volume, right? If you look at the lines, there's more lines than empty space. So that's definitely a volume, right? If you look at this interior chamber, right, that's a very, very sort of heavy implied volume, but it is an implied volume, right? And then if you look at this sort of external part, and this was in a lot better shape until, I moved and it got all bent. But if you can imagine a line straight across the top, there was like a dense volume, sort of heavy implied volume, and then kind of a light, um, implied volume over the whole thing, right? So, oops, why does it do that? So it's very clever in the sense that the heavy volume is towards the interior, the heavy implied volume is a little bit outward, and then the light volume is around the outside, kind of the perimeter. So if you reverse that, it wouldn't work, right? Because you couldn't see the interior. So if you're going to put different levels of implied volume, this is the way to do it. Okay, so this one, really like I wasn't thrilled about it in the beginning, um, but it grew on me, and then now it's one of my favorite ones. Um, just because after I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, I saw the detail and the care that was put into this. That's the better shot. So let's look at this. So if you're going to make something that's really organic, making a making a hand out of wire is very difficult. Like it's a high level of difficulty, and the reason is because there's so many lines and stuff to consider on a hand that the wire will start to like the lines will start to confuse each other, and you don't know what's forward and what's backwards, right? And that happens a little bit in here, right? You don't know what the wires are for, so it gets a little, I guess, convoluted. um, but look at the fingers, right? So the fingers is just it's two lines. These are like two lines that, you know, one, they both go up and down, so it's essentially a four line drawing. But if you look at the thumb, it captures it from this angle, and then that's hard to see. Then it captures it from a couple different angles. So no matter what angle you're looking at it from, it still has the shape of a thumb, right? So this is a very, very clever contour, and the fingers do the same thing. So as I looked at this, I was like, these bends are really accurate, right? They really, really like are close to what a hand does. And so it was for that reason that I was like, yeah, this is a really strong project. Um, the wrist um, is, you know, the wrist itself is kind of an implied volume. So there's a lot of good work in here. There's definitely implied volume, but I think most of all, this is just a nice drawing. Okay. Um, this is another guy named Tim. And so Tim is now, or he might be done by now, but he went from Pasadena City College to Art Center. And, you know, I followed him on Instagram, and he's just a designer. Like all he does now is design. And so he was um, studying rapid prototyping, and you could kind of tell because he put this together in no time. I mean, I think it was like maybe two class periods or one class period and a half, and this thing was done. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's a Mini Cooper, and pretty accurate. Okay, here's the point about this. The point is, if you do a car is a natural for this project. It's a natural because so many of the lines are drawn for you, right? You just have to replicate them in 3D, right? So, you know, where the headlights are, simple. Where the windshield is, where the doors open and close, those are all natural contour lines, and you just have to copy it, right? And it's so a car is a good subject, right? So if you have uh, you know, if you're into cars and the cars are your thing, then I would just do that. Okay, so look at this. So this is, I have to tell you just about the person that made this, and to me, there's a lesson in here. So this person was also at Pasadena, And she came into class and she's, I don't know, maybe 95 pounds. I don't know. And maybe like I looked at her and I thought she was maybe like, I don't know, hungover or tired or, but, and then like came into class like in this cocktail dress and like, um, just wasn't, I just didn't take her seriously, to be honest, right? She just looked like a party girl, just having to be in class, right? And I didn't, I was already in my head, like, okay, I'm not sure what to expect. But what happened was when she sat down to work on this thing, just the way she attacked it was awesome. Like I couldn't, I've not really seen anybody that like tenacious. And she just went after this thing and just started bending stuff and um, just got into it, right? And made this like, I feel like this is, this is one of my favorite projects. Okay, about the technical part, this form in here is a quite perfect implied volume, right? You can see what it is. It's the body of a bird, right? So it's figurative. Um, the lines, the contour lines are, kind of approximate feathers. And then, if she turned in like body of bird, I would have like accepted it and been like, yeah, that's a great implied volume, right? But she got into like making these wings and um, just sort of like tore into this project, leaned into this project, sort of attacked it in a way I wasn't expecting at all. And I think that's also um, one of the reasons I like it, because I was like, oh, you know what? I went in with a certain prejudice and was proved wrong. And so that's, and instead of being like, oh, well, like whatever, I was like, that's great. I learned something today. Right. So anyway, um, oh, and the other thing is she finished before everyone. She was done and other people were still working on the project. So not before everyone. She was about halfway done. So this is these photos are really, really like not good, but this was the bird. All right. These are also implied volumes, right? They're just bowls. I want you to do something more than a bowl, but these were examples of, implied volume that, there's a Facebook group called Buy Nothing. And uh, actually, side note, I recommend Buy Nothing. It's a good group. And you can get materials there for free. And then you can just give stuff away if you don't need it. It's a good program. So, but these are nice implied volumes. This one, a heavily implied volume, which is what I prefer. And this one's a lightly implied volume. I prefer this one. Okay, if you're just drawing these out, make it simple, right? Make it very simple, and then make it from all angles. So, if once you start sketching your projects out, you don't have to sketch the sphere and the cube and the pyramid, but you should, before you start your project, you should sketch it out. And the more angles you have, the more it's going to help you. And what some students do, especially at school where there's white paper on the table, they'll just draw their their project right on to the paper that they're working on. And I do recommend that you work on a light colored paper, or if you have an extra board, a foam board, you can work right on that. And that way you can, the black wire is in high contrast and you can see it. Okay. All right, another good hand. This was done in a similar way, you know, kind of that 4-wire construction. This maybe has more. No, that's also 4. This was extra. Like, if you have a form like this, that's enough. But, you know, people ask me, can I add stuff onto it? And the answer is yes, you can. But make sure your original form um, fills the criteria of the project. This one, I don't remember this. This must have been, I must have gotten this off the internet, but this is a very kind of clever pineapple that it matched the little segments of each, you know, the contour of the segments on the surface of the pineapple. And pretty clever. I can't imagine it took like too long to do this, but if someone turned this into me, I would give it an A, just because it fits all the criteria of the project. Speaking of A, this is another one. So you may or may not know this, but I'm a diehard Rams fan. I've been a Rams fan my whole life. I can't go out and say like, oh, if you do a Ram, I'll give you extra credit. But you know, come on. So this was so nice. I bought it. I bought this off of my student. So the horns definitely hit a contour that's accurate with horns, right? And the way this was sort of filled, and you know, with sort of thick wires along the edge and thin wires to connect it, emphasized the contour lines, and it de-emphasized, you know, sort of the shapes inside. But the ram's horns do also have these like segments that go like this, but I can see the volume all the way around on both of these horns, and then in the skull as well. He kind of made the eyes sort of volumetric, which I didn't think was all that necessary, but in, you know, in adding volume, he just wanted to add more. So this is a really nice project. It's in my office. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the share. All right, so that was kind of a lot. You guys have any questions up to this point? No? Simple? By the way, how are you guys doing? Did anybody have to evacuate?
No.
Good. It was, we were getting a little nervous because if it would have passed over, it's only like 4 miles from here, the fire. And if it would have passed over Mount Wilson, you know, a lot of us would have had to evacuate. So, but it's good to hear that you guys, Steve's safe. I know he's on the other side of the planet, but but I was worrying about you guys if you were local. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, then oh, go ahead, Faith.
So how do I what tools do I need for the wireframe 3D design shape project?
Okay, let me quickly go over the tools. Funny you should ask. I have it right here. Okay. So this is needle nose pliers, and you can do a whole project with needle nose pliers. And the wire. The wire, remember, get it from Home Depot. You might have to order it, but if you go to Home Depot, you remember the rule, right? Anybody? Or maybe I didn't even mention this. Okay. Here's a tip from Uncle Adam. So if you go to Home Depot and you're looking for this wire, what you do is you look for the oldest guy you can find at Home Depot. Look for the oldest employee there because he's the only one that's going to know what rebar wire is, right? Nobody else will know. So, like for example, if you go into the Home Depot in Monrovia, the wire is in the building supplies, which is kind of on the left, you know, which would be, I guess, the east, the south side. And so, if you can't find an old person, then, hey, Faith, can you mute? If you can't find an old person, then you can try asking for rebar wire, tie wire, baling wire. Those are all the same, you know, different words for the same thing. And if nobody knows where it is, you just walk into the Home Depot and it's usually in a wooden cabinet on the left side of Home Depot or the far back part of Home Depot. Right, David?
I always find it over where they have the concrete.
It's where yeah, correct.
Not where the fixtures are or the fittings. No, or electrical. No, bad. Go concrete.
Right.
Okay, that's it. My 2 cents worth. Bye.
Bye. Good to see ya. Okay. So then it's the needle nose, and then the needle nose, they do have a little wire cutter here in there. And so with that, you can kind of do like the whole project, but you can, if you get wire cutters, those are helpful. And then just a regular old pair of pliers is sometimes it's a little easier to bend a corner into the wire if you need to. So there's that. I just want to emphasize that the first thing you should do is just get good at taking the very end of the needle nose pliers and go to the very end of the wire as far to the end as you can on both things. And then take your thumb and just twist it, right, into, I don't know if you can see that. Twist it into a little hook like that. And then the little hook, so the little hook, you know, you just put it, you can hang it on the wire, and then you take, if you take your pliers and you'll see this in the video, but if you get them upright, so I'm gonna have to use my forehead background. If you get it upright, then you can put the other wire in the little loop, and then all you have to do is squeeze it, and then that's it. You've made a connection. It's simple, right? But 50% of you, 60, 75% of you won't be able to get this shape for some reason. I haven't figured this part out. You know, I think if you have trouble with it, let me know right away. So, because this is the most important part and you need to like get this part down before you continue. All right. So, make your sphere, cube, and pyramid as soon as you can, and then start submitting drawings. Okay. Everybody got it? Everybody's awake?
I want to ask when the exercises are due. Is there a due date yet?
I'll probably make them. I don't think they're. I'm gonna have to think about probably next Sunday.
Okay. I just wanted to ask because I don't have the wire. Thank you for the tip because I did go to Home Depot and I could not find it.
Right. Find an old guy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other questions? Nope. All right. So that was about an hour. That's what I thought. All right. Well, and remember, so I will we'll have one more meeting before this is due, like about halfway through. So probably in a couple weeks we'll have another meeting, just so that I can see, you know, what you're up to and how your progress is going. But until then, you know, if you have questions or whatever, just email me or message me on Hangouts. And otherwise, I'll see you in a couple weeks. Okay? Okay, bye. Have a good day.
Professor Adam.
Bye.